Pike County Fiscal Court be called to order, please. Madam Clerk, have a roll call of the members. Present.
Master Anderson.
Here.
Master Johnson. Here. Master Murphy. Master Robinson is not going to be here, I understand. Is that right, Judge?
Robinson will not be here. He's
Okay.
sick.
Master Dotson.
Here.
Master Harris.
We have a quorum. We'll have pledge of allegiance led by Judge Pruitt.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You have in your packet, and I reviewed them and Jeannie reviewed them, the minutes of the October 3rd meeting. Need a motion. Need a motion by Magistrate Dotson. Have a second. Have a second by Magistrate Johnson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Master Anderson.
Yes.
Master Johnson. Master Dotson.
Yes.
Master Harris. Judge Rutherford.
We don't have a whole lot on the agenda today. We've had so many special meetings to comply with the Kentucky Revised Statutes in the last few days. But we do have, Bobby Branham, I think you have one lease, and that is a lease on the property located at what's known as Coal Holler on Island Creek, county property, that the state police firing range. So what have you got on that? Same as the year before?
Yeah, Judge, that's the same thing it's been for a long time. There's no money involved. They don't pay us, and we don't get anything. They don't spend anything, and I think they still use it for a firing range.
Magistrate Anderson.
Second.
Magistrate Anderson, have a second. Have a second. Magistrate Dotson, have a roll call vote, please.
Master Anderson.
Yes.
Master Johnson. Master Murphy.
Yes.
Master Dotson.
Yes.
Master Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Good. Next on it is appointments to the Pike County Housing Authority. And I talked to the director, and I got the attendance record of the two members that's on there now serving, Gordon Potter from Magistrate Robinson District. I talked to Magistrate Robinson, and we have Fran Coleman from over to Phelps. And I looked at their attendance record. They're okay in regard to that. So are there any questions? If not, I have a motion.
Motion.
Motion, Magistrate Dotson. Have a second. Have a second. Magistrate Johnson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Master Anderson. Master Johnson.
Madam Clerk, correct the record to show that Magistrate Murphy is present.
Yeah, I'd run a little late.
Master Murphy.
Yes.
Master Dotson.
Yes.
Master Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Next, we have discussing the canceling of the November 4, 14th physical court meeting, which is on, I presume that's on election day. Jeannie, do you have a recommendation, or you want to just wait and see if we need to have a meeting and call a special meeting? So we're going to wait and see. We'll go ahead and cancel the meeting, and then we'll wait and see what's needed. Okay? Awarding of bids. Have no bids. Magistrate's road work. Motion. Got a motion, Magistrate Anderson. Have a second, Magistrate Johnson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Master Anderson.
Yes.
Master Johnson.
Yes.
Master Murphy.
Yes.
Master Dotson.
Yes.
Master Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes. Magistrate comments. Magistrate Anderson.
Judge, only thing I was going to discuss is I think we got FEMA coming in, Conservation District coming in, and we've got a lot of this flood work that's looks like it's going to be paid for, and they've went out looking at the sites, and I think we've got a meeting. Is it tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock? Is that correct? So I've had a lot of phone calls. I know Frank's had a lot of phone calls, and so finally we're going to get some relief. That's all I have.
Magistrate Johnson,
I don't have anything, Judge.
Magistrate Murphy.
Yes, one thing, we're getting some help from NCRS and everything, and that's real good, and we're trying to hard top a little bit, but having all this rainy weather, it's hard to do anything. And another thing, I've got a petition here from County Branch of Zebulon, petition for water, and I'd like to give it to Secretary and every seat.
Madam Clerk.
These people need water
Pass that
real
down to the
bad.
clerk, and Madam Clerk, make that part of the record of today's Pike County Fiscal Court meeting.
County Branch of Zebulon, petition for water.
Magistrate Dodson.
Judge, I've got just a few, last week we had a code red that came through about 10 or 11 o'clock at night on our telephones telling us not to drink the water, that it was contaminated, and not even boil it for use. So that came through, and we've never heard anything on the samples, whether it had been approved to redo it or re-drink it or what. And the people has got a great concern, you know, when they get a code red, because they don't know what to do. And I talked to Doug, and he said that they were waiting on water samples. Charles, was you able to find out anything this morning on where we stand on that?
No, I haven't. I've sent Grondel a message, and he hasn't replied yet. But as soon as we find out, we'll let you know.
Well, Judge, you know, it's a great concern when you get a code red on your drinking water. And you don't get no response or can't find out what's going on with it. They had a water break over near the Phelps One Stop gas station. So they repaired the water leak, and then the next day, late that night, we got the code red. And, you know, people are real concerned, and they don't know where they stand, when it's going to be lifted, or if it's been approved to start drinking it again or what. But, you know, it sounded pretty tough. I heard it on my telephone. It said, don't use the water, don't even boil it. And, you know, we're out in the dark in this, and we don't know what to do. And I hope that we can come up with some answers today to get word to the
Mr.
people.
Maynard, would you call, I know that Doug gone to a meeting, but would you call him and tell him to get a hold of Jeannie and give her the information? And Jeannie, see that it gets out to press today, so the people over there will know exactly what's going on with the code red, and then they can send out on code red to that area, also advising the people, and that way the people would know.
I would say that would be key, is that if you inform people of the danger by code red, you should also call them back and inform them when it's lifted by the code. It's a great way to communicate, because everybody's got a phone and you can get that. But it sounds like it's going out, the danger is going out as a code red, but then when it gets lifted, that's not right. It should go back out the same way. Jeannie just showed me an email that she got from Mountain Water on October the 17th, so that would have been, what, Friday? That says boil water advisory lifted. Mountain Water District has lifted the boil water advisory in the following area: Route 632 from Kemper Church of God to the Edo Church. So
This was Route 194. This was Route 194 up and over Widows Branch and taking in stopover in Majestic. 632, I don't think was affected by the code red that they'd issued. And Chris, what I was trying to get through is, I think, you know, they need to have a follow-up, Judge, and let the people know that they are still on code red, and we're working on the problem, and we'll notify you. But, you know, when you just put it in there and you don't come back, and we don't hear anything, and it's just for that little isolated area over in 194. But I guess 632 must have been okay, because the people was getting water at the fire station just above where the break was. But
Hillman, this is another email that came through, and I don't get these either, but this says, please be aware that residents in the do not consume area at Phelps from 194 to 632 intersection at the end of the line at Grassy and all side haulers can now go to the Phelps Fire Department, Station 1, and fill up their own containers with water at no charge until this issue is resolved. This information has been distributed on the Code Red system. Fax to appropriate magistrates and radio stations are being notified as well. So it sounds like it's still in effect.
It'll still be in effect. Find out, Charles, and let Jeannie know.
Thank you, Judge. And another thing I want to bring up is, you know, we have just this past week lost our little community park at Phelps, near the old Phelps School. I got a letter, and I'd say you did too, from the superintendent telling us to move our equipment in our park immediately, that it was in danger of them doing work on the landscaping, getting ready for the ball field. So I appreciate Paul and all of our employees that went over and helped. They have taken up all the playground equipment and put it at the road lot, I guess, haven't you, Paul? And they're in the process of disassembling our little shelter that we had there. But I just want to let the public know that we kept it open as long as we could. And then when we got the letter from the school board, then we had to go ahead and start.
I met with Superintendent Lester and told him that I thought it would be a great addition to that ball field if they had a playground on it. I said, that's what Magistrate Dotson wants, and I would appreciate it if you would take it up with the school board. And he said he thought it was a good idea and that they would discuss it. So you probably need to keep in touch, Magistrate Dotson, with the school board to see if they in fact will, on some of that property at the end of it, put a place where the kids can go play, but that's not, has an interest in the ball game or something.
Judge, I thank you for that. But, you know, I've asked him and begged him and pleaded with him, and hopefully they'll get the message and give us a little small area that is well needed. And I think we can reassemble all of our playground equipment and put it back the way it was. I think Paul took pictures and marked everything and didn't have any damage to, if any, very little, was it, Paul?
No, everything come apart real good, so it should go back pretty good. Maybe a few bolts, stuff we have to replace, but
I have to give it a Frank and see
intact.
what's going on.
Well, I thank you. And, Judge, another thing I wanted to see
One was last fiscal year and one was this
is
fiscal year, baby. I'll check
the
and see,
deal that we had over on Harkin. We have a real drainage problem that's John Douglas took care of through legal advice, and I think we have orders that we can go ahead and get our road crew to take this out. Jimmy Kaiser has been working with these people for over probably close to a year, ain't you, Jimmy? And they have about a 3-foot drain inside of a coal truck bed, and every time it rains, it floods the people across the road. And we're going to have to desperately do something there, and Jimmy has notified them and told them and give them ample time to clear it up, and they just haven't done anything. So John Douglas said we can go ahead and take it out, you know, because he's responding.
County Attorney.
Thank you, Judge, and thank you, Magistrate Dodson. I wrote the property owner a letter. This is the property owner who installed this drain illegally. It is in the in Hurricane Creek illegally. They did not have a permit to put this drain in. It is too small, as Mr. Kaiser has reported to me. It's not in compliance with state law for a couple of reasons, probably. I wrote the property owner a letter. Nice letter expressing the court's concern, and the court had asked me to contact her, and I gave her 10 days to contact from date of receipt of the letter, and I believe, Magistrate Dodson, that's dated October the 6th, so a lot of time has passed. And I gave her 10 days from date of receipt to contact Mr. Kaiser. She called Mr. Kaiser, I'm informed, left a message, but that's it. And he has tried to call her 3 separate times. And what I had wanted was a plan by her, worked out with Mr. Kaiser, to get proper permits and install the proper size drain in the watershed of Hurricane Creek. Since she has failed to do that, that drain is not only affecting other private property and damaging other private property in the area, Judge, and that's been reported to Mr. Kaiser also. It's also damaging the Pike County Road. I have instructed Magistrate Dotson, it's my legal opinion, that he can remove that drain since it's in the watershed illegally. If he can do so by reaching it from the public road, he thinks he can. And so that's my legal advice, Judge.
Thank you, John. Judge, another thing, I had a call from some people from the state wanting to know how much salt that we would be needing this year so they could go ahead and make their orders. And I told them I'd have to find out from you what you had lined up. I know Randy said he was going to go ahead and order some, and I don't know if he's got any in already or not.
They contacted me, and what I normally do is I have a contract with the state, 300 ton, 500 ton every year. And they contacted me and said I needed to tell them each road lot how much we needed, and they wanted us to come and get it now. Well, we've got a contract with the salt company, and I mean, we're going to pay for it. And there's no way that I can go ahead right now and purchase salt from the state when we've got to meet our contract with our salt company now. But in the process, Joe Stanley, he called me about it, and he's going to check into it and see if we can't do it the same way we've always done it, as an emergency order. For some reason, we run out of salt. So, no, I don't want any magistrates or any road foremans ordering salt from the state, because all the purchase needs to come through my office, and if I can work a deal out with the state like we've always done, we'll do it that way. But we've already ordered salt and loaded all the salt bins, and we've got no place to put it.
Well, Frank, I have a place to put what we need, and I've not ordered any, and that's the reason I'm bringing
you
it
got
up.
5 loads in 3 days ago.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I've not ordered any from the state.
Right. I don't want any
And,
orders.
you know, I've got a lot of room in that salt bin, and if it means us losing what we need to get from the state, then I don't have a problem with going ahead and picking up and storing it, because we don't know what kind of winter we're going to have. And they act like they had to know, so they know how much to order.
I'm in contact with them, and I'll handle it right and let you all know. But first obligation we got to do is meet our contract with our salt company that bid, or and it's going to be the same price from the state as well as what we pay for it. So I don't want to. I mean, it's coming out of your road funds, and I don't want to break you, and don't want to do something y'all don't want to do.
Well, Frank, I don't think is I just don't want to get caught without any like we did last winter.
Well,
we had a struggle up and down, and I'm sure that we probably got the same contract, don't we, Frankie, where we have to buy so many tons?
We've got the same contract. We just have a different salt company that we're going with this year.
Different truckers or different company?
It's a different company altogether. We're going with, we used to go with North American, and we're going with Cargill this year. Hanging Rock, Ohio is where they ship from, but it'll be delivered to your lots just like always. So it's not from the Portsmouth depot down there. It's from Hanging Rock. I'm not exactly sure where that's at, but it'll still be delivered to all the lots just like always. You just order, and then the trucking company delivers it just like always.
How many ton did we sign each lot would have to take?
We've got a contract for 2,500 ton, the same contract we had for last year.
For the whole county? For
the whole county, right.
So that's probably what,
And
300?
we fulfilled the contract last year. We had a 65% minimum that we had to get, but we far exceeded that. We actually filled the whole 100% of the contract last year because it was a bad winter, but we still have that minimum order of 65% even with this company. That's the reason we didn't go with North American Salt this year, is because they wanted to hang us on the 80% minimum. This other company for 10 cents on the ton less, I mean, we're paying 10 cents a ton more, but they're holding us only to 65% of the contract instead of 80%, which could make a whole lot of difference if it's a real mild winter.
Frank, I wasn't trying to go over your head. I just want to bring it up so you know I did receive the call from the state people wanting to know how much we thought we would be needing from them, so they could put their order together.
Also, in the process of our trucking company, you know, last year we had problems, and we finally picked up Conley, and Conley comes up here and hauls coal, and they bring salt up. Well, this BWC, am I correct, or BRC, is a trucking company that will be hauling our salt for our salt company, and they're doing the same thing. We made contact with them, the truckers, well, as a matter of fact, Greg White did, and they haul gravel, sand right up here to Wright's Concrete and all these different places, and they said, there's no reason why that we won't get you salt to you because we come up here and haul coal back. So I was tickled to find out because I was really wanting Conley to do it, but I don't think we have any problem with the trucking company itself.
I've not talked to the road foreman. I don't know what the salt looked like, you know, if it's said anything to you about it, Frank?
No, I've not got any complaints from any of them that God did.
Another thing, Frank, I want to thank you and the judge for getting our truck back from Worldwide Equipment. Did you find out what took so long and why they
Well, you know, when it went down there, a pin came out, boat did, and destroyed a tire, and I told, I got up with Jim, and I told him, you know, that was like a warranty deal. Even the tires aren't under warranty, but because of the warranty of the pin slipping out and cutting the tire, they put us a new tire on where we didn't have to purchase it because those tires are $800 or more. Then they got it, told us it was ready, went down there to get it, and they got concerned that the pin would come back out, so that's what took so long.
I think we've got it back on the road now. So thank you. Judge, I just want to let the people know that my wife had a pretty bad accident a couple weeks ago, and I might not be in the office as much as I have been, but my phone is available at home. I've got an obligation. She's kindly got a pretty bad leg break, and you know, I've got to be there with her, and I think it's my duty and my obligation that me and her made about 35 years ago. And I just want to let the people know that
I'll ask that we have the Dotson family in our prayers, please, because it's a tough thing to go through when you have that type of accident.
I thank you very much, and that's all I have.
Magistrate Harris.
She's taken pretty good care of you for the last 35 years, so about time you have to pay her back a little bit. Judge, just a couple things quickly. First is I have here some funds that were generated through the rental of the community room at the Belfry Courthouse, and we donate those to the Belfry Senior Citizen Center. So there's $450 that I'd like to submit to the treasurer today and have her
Madam Clerk, make it part of the record.
deposit that into the Belfry Senior Citizen Center account, if she would.
Go back, I think, Jeannie, to be recorded, and the treasurer will pick it up.
The other thing, and this, Charles, you may be able to help on this matter. the Stevens family that live in Nares Branch, they had an emergency the other day that required them to call 911. And they picked up the phone, dialed 911, and their call was sent to Madison, West Virginia. And they called back several times, and each time they called 911, their call was sent to Madison, West Virginia for some reason. And that's pretty scary, because you really don't test out your 911 until you really need it. And so, any ideas what that could be, or?
Do you know if they called from a cell phone, or?
I didn't ask that, but I assumed that they'd called from their home phone.
And it's from Narrows Branch?
Nares Branch.
And who was it again?
The Stevens family. I've got the address. I'll give it to you after the court meeting. But they had a neighbor who had fallen and had laid there for some time, and they called 911, and it rang into.
Yeah, I know a lot of times if you call 911 from a cell phone, it'll hit the closest tower and send it someplace else.
Well, the closest tower wouldn't have been Madison, West Virginia, though, would it?
You wouldn't think so, but it depends on the carrier.
Mm-hmm.
Mr.
Yeah, I'll
Maynard,
get the address and we'll
Magistrate
look into
Harris
that.
will furnish you with the name.
Yeah.
And check it out, and it's very important that we have a discussion with the telephone company in regard to this.
Yeah, because if that's happening to other people, we probably need to get to the root of the problem, find out why it's happening, and either educate people on what they need to do or fix the problem if it's a problem.
I know normally when in Pike County, if a 911 call is generated from a wrong address, we get a report about it, so we'll be able to change it. But we'll check on that and see.
Okay.
Mr. Maynard, would you give Jeannie a report on that, and Magistrate Harris when you get it?
Mm-hmm. The only other thing, Judge, and Jimmy, you may know a little bit about this, and you may not too. You've been around a while. The South Williamson, when the flood wall was built there in South Williamson, they replaced a lot of old storm drains that had been there since the 1930s or 40s, real old drains. And some of those drains now are starting to collapse, and they're running through people's yards, and the old water drains or sewer drains are just collapsing. I guess it's the old ceramic stormwater drains. And, they're asking me what to do, whose responsibility is it, and I really don't have the answer for that. I think it's Mountain Water's sewer district. So they provide the sewage in South Williamson, but the city of Williamson provides the water. So it wouldn't have anything to do with the water, I wouldn't think, but would that be the service district?
Come around to the podium and address that.
Would that be the whoever's service district that is, would they be responsible for that, or would it?
I think what happened was through the years, people tied into the stormwater drains with their sewer, and it just go into the river. And when the Corps built the flood wall, they didn't know that until they started building the flood wall. Then they noticed, well, here's all this sewer water. So they built a weir that would, and the state approved this, they built a small weir that would catch that water, and then they took it to, I think, to Williamson to be treated, and at high flows, it was diluted enough to go ahead. And then I think Mountain Water came in and I thought got all that sewer and took it to a pumping station. Mm-hmm. I'll have to try to check on it and see what's.
Yeah. That entire area is sewered. I mean, so they all have access to public sewage, so there shouldn't be any sewage in the line, and I don't think there is. I think that it's just collapsed just because it's deteriorated. Yeah. Oh, it's so old, it's just deteriorated. And so I guess they're asking, is it something that they as property owners have to take care of themselves, or is this something that Mountain Water would come in and fix, or is it something that the county, because of the flood wall, we took over the maintenance of the flood wall? Is it something that we would be able to go onto their property, and you don't want to go on somebody's private property without
I'll try to check with them and see exactly what the details is on that, and I'll get back with you and let you know.
Okay.
Mr.
Thank you.
Kaiser, investigate that, and let Jeannie and let Magistrate Harris know what the recommendation is.
That's all I have, Judge. Thank you.
Madam Treasurer.
Authorize any necessary transfers and interfund transfers to pay the bills, payroll, health, and life insurance.
Have a motion. Motion by Magistrate Murphy. Have a second. Have a second. Magistrate Anderson, have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
Authorize the payment of the expenditure approval list dated October 20th, 2014, and any other utility and telephone bills that will be received before the checks are run.
Have a motion. Motion, Magistrate Harris. Have a second, Magistrate Johnson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris? Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
With having paid out the big money for the leases in August, we're running a little short on cash, so these expenditure approval lists may have to wait to next week past our due by October 25th deadline because we have payroll this week till we get our coal severance. They're hopefully will be out the end of this week, and we can have it either this week or the first of next week. The mineral check is going to be a little later, and I was advised by DLG that each quarter it's going to get later and later due to how the legislation is wording the calculations, is putting a lot of burden on the Department for Local Government, and that not for me to consider calling on the 20th or 21st. Luckily, they were done this time, but the next probably will not be until later into February before we start receiving the checks for the quarter ending in December. So with getting payroll, we need to do that first, and that'll put us pretty short for money that I'd like to wait till we at least receive the cold check before we send these checks out.
Thank you, Madam Treasurer, for that report.
Authorize the following check to the Shelby Valley Volunteer Fire Department when the money is received from House Bill number 265, Project ID number B as in boy 658, $100,000.
Motion, Magistrate Johnson. Have a second. Magistrate Murphy, have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
Under additional treasurer's business, Jeannie has NRCS projects that will probably be due before we get another court meeting. So once these NRCS funds are received, authorize a check in the amount of $32,828 to York Smith Construction for NRCS work at Sookies Creek and Ford Bottom when funds are received. Authorize a check in the amount of up to $57,500 to Steve Francis for NRC work at Dog Fork and Gap Branch when the funds are received from NRCS. Authorize a check in the amount of up to $38,000 to Tri-State Guardrail for NRCS work at Wolf Pen and Spring Branch when the funds are received from NRCS.
Motion.
Got a motion. Have a second. Magistrate Johnson, have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
I have no further business, Judge.
Can I have that? Can I have one of those?
Judge Pruitt, personnel, please.
We need a brief executive session.
I make a motion pursuant to KRS 61-810, move into executive session, discuss specific personnel matters.
Have a second. Have a roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Anderson? Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yeah.
That's it.
Need a motion to go back into open session, please. We have a motion. I have a second by Magistrate Murphy. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson? Mr. Johnson? Mr. Murphy? Mr. Dodson? Mr. Harris? Judge Rutherford?
Yes. Judge Pruitt, to give us the personnel report, please.
Report of personnel is that there is a position for a truck driver on road lot number 1 at Johns Creek at 3H rate of pay per hour. James Taylor, George C. Justice, and Matthew Ward bid on the job. Matthew Ward has been selected as a qualifying employee. Truck driver lot number 4 at Marrowbone, 3H rate of pay per hour. James J. Taylor, full-time with Class A CDLs. George C. Justice have also applied, and Matthew Ward applied. James Taylor selected as a qualified employee. Acknowledge the resignation of Alfred Krieger as of October 15, 2014. Alfred was the carpenter, heating, and cooling technician for the Public Works Department and has been employed since June 12, 2007. We regret to see him go. Apparently he's had a better job opportunity. Approval to hire Jared L. Smith as a temporary truck driver for road lot number 1, a 3H rate of pay per hour effective October 15, 2014. He is temporarily replacing Dennis A. Maynard, who resigned. That is the report of personnel, Judge Rutherford.
Thank you, Judge Pruitt. That will be my recommendation. My motion to have a second. Have a second. Magistrate Murphy, have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy?
Yes.
Magistrate Dodson?
Yes.
Magistrate Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes. Dan, what do we have on the monitor that you bring up first? If you bring it up, we'll go through that right quick. 460, we have got an update from the Kentucky Department of Transportation, and we all know the new construction on what's known as New 460 project. It's an alternative route on 460 from 23 at Yeager to near the Breaks Interstate Park and Virginia state line. It is a controlled access highway, as stated, and interchanges US 23 Greasy Creek, 195 at Marrowbone, and at Kentucky 80 near Elkhorn City. So we have that update, and I'll give it in regard to the update on the property. First, if you've got a map on here, and I don't have a laser today on the big map over here, but Dan, if you have it on this, I don't know how we can give a report then today. Is it on the monitor up here, Jeannie? I'd asked before if it was on the monitor. Is the same thing on here that's on the monitor? Let me say the Stone Cold. Let's start at the state line. Wolfpen Branch is at the state line, and that's the one that's been set aside, Charles, for a state line information with the state of Virginia and Kentucky at the state line. Next is Woodspit Branch. Now that is, that is, the next one will be Stone Cold. Am I right, Bobby? As you come from a state line, it'll be Stone Cold. The Transportation Department says that they're now in the process of preparing a deed for us. So we will be getting that property. Jeannie, it means that we need to have a meeting probably with Summit. We held the other one in their Lexington office because that's where they had the developers, where they was looking to develop housing sites on that site. So that needs to be set up. The next one going down would be at Wolf Pit. Wolf Pit is where we get 75 or 80 acres. 75 or 80 acres of level land. Also, that said property should be coming to us within a year. So I guess as soon as they get that road open from Yeager, Bobby, to Marbone, they will be ready to start considering a date to give us a deed for that property. We left out the other one as we come down the road, and that was John Moore's Branch. John Moore's Branch, the state has said that the Pike County Fiscal Court will be the one that handles the development of that property. But it says that it'd be finished in about 3 years. At that time, the deed will be presented to the county. So that is their projections on this new highway construction, and which will mean that we get approximately 100 and how many acres, Charles, would we end up, or Bobby, up our estimated acres that we would have on New 460 that would be level with access to it? Around 100 acres of level land to develop in the future. Now, also, I think you have on here a copy, I know it's on this, you have a copy of the studies that was done. Is that on here if you bring it back up? We have made sure that this property has been, it's in the county's comprehensive plan, but this is in the conference room. And the masters need to know this. This is a contract. It was a $300,000 contract with Summit Engineering, and it's in there. It's how to process and develop all this level land up there and what it can be used for. So we have taken care of doing the proper planning. We've had our eye on the future, and we've done it properly by planning and putting together a plan of what to do with this property to enhance the quality of life and to take advantage, finally, of the level land with access. We have thousands of acres of level land from mountaintop removal with no access. And now you've got property with approximately 100 acres, as I said, of level land that can be developed. So we have a plan in the future to develop that. So I think that was all that we had, wasn't it, Dan, in regard to that? What else did you have on there today? Did you have a Mountain Water update? The Mountain Water update, and I hope you have some pictures with it, because we asked them to, and they will furnish us pictures, Jeannie. All you got to do is ask them. And they'll furnish the pictures, and then picture is better than 1,000 words. Bad Fork, Dameron Ratliff Road project has been complete and service is now on. And and Kenneth's not here today, but that's up Marbone. And I've told the story before about going up there, and the lady had the creek blocked, and I stopped and asked her what she was doing with the water she was carrying across the road. She said, "I'm washing my clothes with this." Well, we, the county, for some 12 or 14 years, through the Lookout Fire Department, had provided them people with drinking water, with potable water to drink. So finally, we had to appeal, and meeting after meeting, and finally, we convinced them that this was a project that ought to be done from AML. And they approved the project. It's now been completed, and Bad Fork has water. Ridgeline Road Water Project, Johnnican section. This project, Magistrate, this is a project that Magistrate Murphy, ever since for years, has worked on to get for those people up there.
Okay, we've got 2 phases of 3 done, and hopefully here in the near future we get to okay to finish that 3rd phase. And been working on it for 12 years with state representatives and our judges and offices, and it's something that's well deserved, and hopefully we get it all done here in the near future.
Next is the various short line extension projects. Two primary project funding are the Norman Cook Road and the Old Shelby Island Road. This project and punch list items are complete and ready for the customers to connect. So those two are complete. Both of them, both of those, I think, are in Magistrate Robinson's district. District True Water Line Extension. Summit Engineer has been hard to do the engineering service on this project. Magistrate Johnson has met in regard to the selecting of project areas. The plan had been approved by Division of Water, and the project was bid on August 26, 2014. So the water line extension in District 2 is ongoing and hopefully can get it done before the winter months get too bad. Route 199 DOT line relocation project, that was the lift station, is now completed and been released to the Mountain Water District. So that is at Stone near Red Robin. Millard Curve DOT relocation project. We all know about Millard Curve and the problems that we've had and the deaths we've had on that curve. And the Kentucky Department of Transportation has attempted as the best they could to fast track this project. But as of this date, the project is ready for bidding. Anticipated bid date is December of this year. Construction most likely will not take place until the spring. So hopefully that this project will get started and get done by the end of next year, or hopefully, because it's something that's been something that needs to be done for years and years and years, and it took a lot of deaths and a lot of heartaches, a lot of pain to a lot of families to finally get the state to take action that is near the old Millard High School. Deskins Curve DOT relocation project. We know that's like the Route 199, that's a FEMA project. Plans are ready and had been the Division of Water. Final opinion of probable cost to be prepared. And owner's tank site property, and that also has to do with the tank, will be set. Cabin No, DOT relocation project, Scott Fork. The project was bid on June 2014. Bids were too high, if we remember, and were rejected. The schedule had been pushed back to combine the Cabin Knoll and Scott Fork Bridge construction. The job will be bid out in December 2014. The water line relocation is being bid as part of the bridge construction and advertised for bid on August 30, 2014. The mandatory pre-bid meeting was held in September 9th with the bid due in September 12th. Construction should be underway today. Water treatment plant at Marbone, that project is complete. FEBA mitigation project, relocation Johns Creek Railroad track. Funding been awarded and project and the engineer is currently working on setting up a ward meeting. Douglas upgrade project. Engineer is currently in the preliminary design phase of plans and specifications. Are working to re-advertise documents and are ensuring that they will be in accordance with the funding requirements. Phelps Freeman, wastewater, upgrades and rehabilitation. The contractor expects the equipment to arrive in early September. Will begin as soon as the parts arrive and will take place. Belfry Pond Sewer Project. The Peck's Branch property in the first closing process for district to acquire it. The engineer is in the process of advertising for proposals. MBR Technologies with the Douglas Plaint Project. Majestic Alternative Sewer Project. Site surveys are complete. Data input and mapping plan data is in process, as well as ownership, record verification. Grouping plans of sites were done in December last year, and identification of clusters appropriate for treatment is being analyzed. Adjacent co-property owners are being consulted for partnership in land area. And flow studies are being completed as proposed with the Division of Water and the Kentucky DOH. Henry Clay Sewer Project, we all know about that. That project is on hold. It was a project that was planned years ago, and there's been no federal funding for it. Forest Hills Odor Control Project. Project is complete, and Magistrate Harris, the reports we got that it's working very well, and got the odor down at the new Belfry High School and the other facilities they got there. So that is all the report that we have from Mountain Water District today. We have Nightmare on Main Street, October 21st, East Kentucky Expo Center, from 6:30 to 8:30, and Jeannie, that is tonight. Then we know the trick and treat has been set for October the 30th. That's on Thursday at 6 to 8 p.m. Dan, what else do we have on here? Okay, we now have any commissioner or director have anything you need to take up with the court? Mr. Maynard.
Yeah, I received an email from Tammy Olson at Mountain Water. The Kentucky Division of Water has requested additional sampling be done in the Phelps area. And the sample method the lab in Ohio has to use will take 3 days to complete. The best case scenario at this point is Friday before they can determine if they can lift the do not consume order. So it's still in effect. And her understanding is that tap water is still being made available to the residents in their own containers from the Fire Department of Phelps. If that's not the case, we need to contact Roy Sayers and let him know about that.
Mr. Maynard, will you use code red as the court's requested, and to get that out so that they will know what's going on?
Yeah, we'll post it on that, and we'll also post it on our emergency
And also get it to
Facebook
Jeannie, and we
page.
get a news release out of it.
Judge, I'd also like to inform the court that we're having that FEMA kickoff meeting at the 4th floor of the Hall of Justice, the Pike County EOC. Any magistrates that had any damage during the August storms that was declared, that they can send the road foreman there to meet with the FEMA reps.
That's a very
Tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning at Doug Tackett's office over at the EOC.
That's a very important meeting, and Jeannie, Hatch needs to be there, the magistrates, their road foreman, Doug Tackett with his list of the call-ins that he's got through our office and his office, and that's a very important meeting. So to take advantage of the President's Declaration that Pike County was included in, along with the other counties, and so that they can go through this process and try to solve some of these problems. As we know, Magistrate Dotson, we got notified last week at the mouth of Chapman's Fork over there that they had a complete washout run down the road, and that's the reason your road foreman and them needs to make sure that we got everything listed, because these inspectors is going to be here a while. I understand from Doug that they was going to lease a place, and they leased a place in Paintsville for 3 months. So they're going to be here a while, and they're going to be traveling throughout this county looking for damages caused from the heavy downpour of rain in a time period which will probably be a 3 to 4 weeks period of hard downpour rain. What an opportunity it is to use the mitigation part of FEMA to get some of these drain pipe problems solved and some of these problems. And we realized that Hurricane Creek and this side of the county was the hardest hit. We also realized that Floyd County was the hardest hit. And the reason we got this declaration, they put Floyd County, Johnson County, Knott County, and Pike County together. And that's the reason we was able to meet the threshold. But this is an opportunity for us, and I know that every magistrate here has talked about the washouts in the last month and what it's caused in their district, and we have kept those records. I talked to Hatch about it, and those records will be given, of course, to the work already completed to FEMA so that we can get repaid.
Judge, that one at Chapman Fork you spoke about is the state highway's got a drain that crosses the highway there, and it was not taking the water. It needs to be changed out, and it was backing the water up into the drain coming out of Chapman Fork and causing us to have that backup. But really, Hatch's not here, but he needs to get the state highway department to look at the one.
Make sure they have it listed.
Crosses the road. I don't know if the state done any assessments on their roads or not.
Well, we need to make sure, and Hatch, I said he stepped out, but we need to make sure that the state is doing their assessment the way we've been doing our assessment. Our foremen have been doing the assessment, and the magistrates have been doing our assessment. We need to make sure they do too, to take care of a problem like Chapman Fork, where it's a state road that don't have adequate drainage, that is, and under their mitigation, that could be changed out, and the federal government pay for it. But we need to follow up. That is an important meeting. Anything else, Charles?
Yeah, I got one more thing. Hillman, have you had any calls about people having trouble getting water from the fire department?
I've had problems with people calling, said they didn't have the containers to go get the water, and they just wanted to know if we were going to supply any drinking water for them. A lot of the older elderly people that wasn't able to go out and pick up water. In the past, we've been able to get gallon jugs of drinking water to the fire departments and hand it out to the people that need it.
All right. If they go there and get water and it's not open, make sure we know about it so we can let those guys know over there if they need to be there.
I guess they've got a hose out the back door where people can just
Is that what they're doing?
get it. And I just can't figure out that close of a distance that water would be good, and the other at the intersection just a few 100 feet on down the road would be bad. I thought it all was in the same line.
Does any other director or commissioner have any statement or questions you want to ask the body? If not, have a motion to, hadn't called on the esteemed county attorney, Mr. County Attorney.
Thank you, Judge. I have two matters. I received a call a few days ago from Mr. Gillum, who lives on Clevenger's Branch up on the mountain there, Magistrate Murphy and Magistrate Dotson. I address you both because I believe that area is presently in Magistrate Murphy's district, and it will become January 1 in Magistrate Dotson. Anyway, his inquiry was very simple, Judge. He wanted to know when he was going to get some blacktop. He is the fellow, Judge, you'll remember, who had to shovel into his drive, and I think they went in there and just put down, Magistrate Murphy, some gravel base in that curve.
Yeah, cleaned it out.
Yeah, the coal company has not been hauling. They've not been in operation for a couple of months. I asked their attorney a week or two ago about what their intentions were, if they intended to come back and resume their mining operation there. That's the company that was hauling out of Clevenger's Branch, but I've not received any word back. And winter's coming on, he's interested in getting a little blacktop in that area, and I didn't know which one of you guys to address, actually.
I was up through the other day looking at it, and then come back, and day before, let's say Friday, I guess it is, I met with Ron, the road foreman, and we talked about it. We're seeing right now, if we got any of that $5,000 left that coal company put up, we're going to try to put down a little asphalt if there's any of it there. That's our thoughts and plans right now, if we got any of that left.
Thank you.
Well, I'd really appreciate it if you could take care of the people until we're able to go in there. It'll be springtime, when we'll be able to get blacktop. Once we take office, if I'm reelected in January, we will not be able to get blacktop. And it will be a bad place this winter. If you could do anything, I know they would appreciate it. And if anything I can do to help, you know, if we got equipment or whatever, just let me know. You know, we'll try to help you. I know you're busy. You got a lot of problems over your way too. But I appreciate whatever you can do.
There was $5,000 given to us by the coal company. Magistrate Murphy has already used $1,600 and some dollars of that. Frank was intending him to have $1,300 more. He was letting him have $3,000 and leaving $2,000 for you. So do you want to let him just use it all? Hillman?
I don't think you're directing the question to me. It would be Magistrate Anderson that had the opposite road on the other side of the hill. That was
part of
the problem was him and Leo.
Okay. He's leaving $2,000 for Jeff or whoever of the $5,000.
Shouldn't take.
That's fine.
So is it supposed to be for you to use?
Yeah, I think so, over on the Cowpen side.
Okay.
Or Middle Street side.
He's letting him use $3,000 of that, and he's already used 16, so he's only got 13 something left. Then you would have 2,000.
That's fine.
Is what me and him discussed here earlier, because that got charged to his energy recovery when it should have been charged to private contributions.
Okay.
Are you saying it's all right for us to use it in asphalt to put down on that side, or what?
I mean, I assume isn't that what it was for?
Do you want 2,000 or do you want to let him have all of it? Which?
Well, isn't some of it going to be spent on my side?
I think the question
guess
is, how much
2,000,
we're
you're
going
only
to
going
spend
to
on
have
the
3,000, so you only got
Cowpen side.
1,300 left of that money, and Jeff's going to get 2,000 of it.
Okay.
Judge, maybe after the meeting, they need to get together and work that out.
Work that out.
We might want to hand out daggers or guns or something. I don't know. But
Well, I think what it is, when you go over the right fork of Cowpen and you go down, there's some damage. Then when you go back out towards Stoneco, there's some damage. Yeah. So the 2,000, we can use it because we fixed that road once before. And then the coal company, they didn't work for, I think, 2 or 3 years. But we can, we'll take that 2,000 and spend it in District 1.
That was his conversation with me whenever Leo brought up that this wasn't supposed to be coded there. And
Or you can give me the rest of your money and we'll spend it in District 1.
Mr. County Attorney.
Judge, Mr. Sloan is here again today, and I'm sure he'd like to get an update where we stand. Commissioner Bobby Mullins of Solid Waste and I have had several conversations about the situation over in Mr. Sloan's neighborhood since the last meeting. And I would, if agreeable with you, Judge, I'd like to hear from Commissioner Mullins about what steps have been taken since that last meeting.
We went and talked to the coal company, and they're going to move in real soon on cleaning up their part there at the mouth of Gabriel's where we're talking about. And I wrote a letter again to the landowners of the property that's really in question there, and gave them so many days to clean it up, or that John Doug's going to get an injunction and the county's going to go in just clean up the whole property. And if they don't make a move at trying to clean it up themselves, I've offered everything that I know to do. I even offered to give them a roll-off dumpster and we'd haul it away for them for free if they just throw it in there. So we're just seeing what they're going to do and then let John Doug get an injunction if that's what it takes.
The coal company you referred to, I believe that's McCoy Elkhorn's just going back into business, Judge, and if they'll clean it up on their nickel and rather than ours, that would be a whole lot better, and I believe they will. Now, I've told the commissioner that if they don't get in there and do that quickly, that we need to go in there and do it and send them a bill. Everybody's been patient. Mr. Sloan's been very patient, and we appreciate that, but we are going to address it. It's going to be done. It needs to be done. It's the law of this county that it must be done. So I just want to publicly state that and assure you that it will be. Thank you, Bobby. That's all I have, Judge.
John, I'd like to say to Bob, I guess he's having trouble with his equipment, having the proper amount of equipment. But now, Bob, we might have some equipment available, but our men are tied up pretty much on trying to do some last-minute paving. And we're willing to do whatever we can to help you go in. And, you know, coming through there this morning, the gate they'd put up had blown down, and I bet it's not 2 or 3 feet from the road, it don't look like. And could be an accident there if something ain't done, you know, to clean that up.
And I don't
Yes,
think that
we're
our,
having trouble with our excavator. It's broken down. We can't tear anything down right now with the equipment that we have. You know, just when we do what we have to do by law there, then we'll take further action.
I don't think, I don't have the ordinance in front of me, but I don't think the ordinance requires us to obtain an injunction in court. I think it gives us gives us permission to move on to the property after we've given the required notice that's in the ordinance. I think it allows us to move on to the property and fix the problem. So I don't think, you know, I don't have the ordinance in front of me, but I don't think it requires a.
You're exactly correct, Magistrate Harris. It doesn't. I think I mentioned that in terms of if there were any threats of any physical violence, then we may have to do that. But we do have the right under the ordinance to go on in. At one time, the Williamsons, is that who owns this property, had asked that we wait till the cooler weather. There was some of that junk or material, however you describe it, that they wanted to save. You know, that's fine. I didn't care to work with them, but enough's enough, and they've got to go ahead and move. Now, the old building, we have complied, Magistrate Harris, with every requirement set forth in our dilapidated housing ordinance, and we're ready to move in on that if they don't want to work with us, and so that's where we are.
Judge, I got one other thing I'd like to say. I know Charles Carlton has worked awful hard on trying to save the old school at Majestic through the Phelps Nursing Home. And Charles is still working. I think he's got a meeting this week with some people. And, you know, we've got to have somebody that can go out and extend the arm to get help. And Charles, I want to thank you for, you know, whether we win or lose, we're trying. And I want the people to know that it's not a lost cause yet. You know, you're still working on some things, you and the judge and Jeannie, and hopefully, you know, that the meeting will come out good to where it'll benefit the people in that area.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Mullins, if you have to go on that property, and that's what you're going to do if they don't move on it, everybody's been very patient. Magistrate Dotson has offered you some equipment using your manpower, right. So just keep that in mind if you have to move on that property.
Yes, the only thing I'll be waiting on just for the court to say go, and then we'll do it.
Good job. Any other commissioner or director have any report or anything you need to give?
Judge, got a question. We may not meet before then, but now we got Veterans Day coming up, 11th of November, and we usually have a program. Have you planned on anything this year?
Yes. Matter of fact, Jeannie and I talked about that this morning with Judge Pruitt, the county attorney Hayes. We discussed it this morning of trying to get somebody who is a veteran, and we have had, as Jeannie said, we want to have a good veterans program, and we've been able to do that over the years. So if you know anybody in your family or your neighborhood that has the capability of coming here before this crowd, this place is always completely full, and talking about of what veterans mean to us and their history in it. We've got one or two listed, but we do need some other names. We've contacted a general who is native of this county, and his schedule didn't permit him to come this year, or neither did it last year either. But Just, everybody needs to get a hold of Jeannie. If you've got somebody that in your family or in your neighborhood or in your community that can come and motivate these people and get them to understand what 911 meant to this country also, and then what the veterans mean to this country. We've had real good Veterans Day. Has been one of the best programs this court's put on, and we want to continue to do that, and we need help this year making sure that we bring somebody before the body that certainly can tell the story of the veterans and the hardship of the veterans, and also to memorialize those who have give all, and to also remember the families of what they gave while they served. So thank you for bringing that up, and as I said, we discussed it this morning. Anything else? Motion to adjourn. Have a motion and a second. Have a roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Anderson, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Murphy, Mr. Dodson, Mr. Harrison, Judge Rutherford.